I always had me a good laugh at school. A class clown with a whole pack of cools. What can I say? That's what bad kids do. A latchkey child that brought rappers through. Now I'm up in the office wearing shackles blue. At the water cooler, wanting to act the fool.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the commentary section of Dahis 8. If you're watching this version, then you're probably already on skillcapped.com, but if not, it's worth checking out. It will eventually be sort of a depository for instructional WoW PvP videos. And I don't know everything about it except that the people I've talked to who run the sites are very professional and they have a lot of good ideas. So it's certainly worth checking out. I'll start off just by describing what's going on with my UI. That cast bar above my head is my focus cast bar. There's also one below my feet, which is my target cast bar. And you'll see an aura sort of show up around my character, and that's my Death's Verdict proc. Absolutely not worthwhile at all. Only serves to be a distraction, and I actually got rid of it shortly after putting this video together when I saw my fraps and realized how atrocious it was. So don't get distracted by that. It doesn't mean anything other than that. I got a little overzealous when I made my UI. So I'm pretty excited for this video because it is triple PoV, and aside from I think being the first of its kind, I'm particularly excited about doing this type of video because it allows me to give credit to both of my teammates. Affix and Velsus are both outstanding players, and I think particularly in the Warrior Mage Druid comp where we have no dispel and really no second chance, we have to make sure that all our players are on their game at all times, because any mistake we make could lead to a 30-second CC chain or somebody getting gibbed, or any other horrible consequence. So I think triple PoV is uniquely suited to Warrior Mage Druid, and it should be great fun. Alright, we are past the intro and into the main portion of this video. And what I've tried to do with this section, which I've done in past videos, is to show a few sort of highlights against specific comps that I picked out, and then to gradually progress toward full fights against each of those setups. And the reason I do this is basically just so I can pack a bit more excitement into a 20-minute video, and also in part because by the time that I actually finish editing a video, I've seen every clip so many times that I generally hate most of them. It's kind of a funny process, but I end up being very biased against my own work as a result. But I have tried to include at least one full fight so people can see the entire dynamic. People ask me a lot what kind of strategies we have against specific comps, and it's kind of funny because we really don't have very many. Against RMP, for example, our only real strat, a real consistent strat, is to make sure that both DPS aren't unloading on any of us at the same time. Aside from that, our play is pretty much dictated by what they're doing in a certain sense, because we have to rely on whether CC is DR'd on me, whether Affix is free to free cast, whether Velsus needs help getting trained, and all these other different variables. So it really comes down to what our opponents let us do and what kind of opportunities we create ourselves. But generally we will bounce between the Mage and Rogue, try to limit damage because we do have the advantage in a long game, and eventually we will get a kill. Right here is my favorite clip in the video, I think. If you noticed, I reflected one sheep, and then Velsus cyclone the next sheep, and then I'm going to reflect this sheep, and then Affix is going to run up and counterspell the next one. So that just kind of shows that the teamwork that is not only possible, but necessary with this comp. Because if any of us miss any of those, then I'm going to get triple sheeped into a double nova, and we're going to lose our kill opportunity. Not a whole lot else to say about RMP. We finished the season with actually a very good record against RMP. I think it was one of the comps that we farmed the most. We had, I believe, a 77% win ratio against all RMP teams. And I didn't actually go and calculate that. There's a website in progress that will show your win ratios against various comps. And I don't have the link for that, but if I remember, I'll try and put it in my Warcraft Moves page. Our record against RMP is really sort of a testament to how much we've improved as a team, because it was a team that we had trouble with at the beginning of the season. And this is one of our earlier clips. Affix was still wearing a lot of deadly gear in this particular clip. But our strategies changed a lot. And the main thing that really changed toward the end of the season is I ended up being on the Mage a lot more. Because he is the most dangerous player on the team. If he's free casting, then somebody on your team is in for a world of hurt. So right here I eat a deep freeze into a double sheep and Affix is going to die. And, you know, people talk about reflecting deep freeze, but I don't really think it's something you can reliably do. Most of the time, if you reflect it, on 1 out of 10 times when you do reflect it, it's just going to get dispelled when you get sheeped anyway. And the 9 out of 10 times you miss, they're just going to sheep you now that it reflects down, and then you use deep freeze to get your Druid or something. So I forced the ice block, and I didn't have rage to shattering throw, so I tabbed white hit totem. That's what's happening there. I don't have a lot of footage against Wizard Cleave. It became a lot less popular after it got nerfed, so this is one of my clips from the pre-nerf Elemental Shaman. And you'll notice we're training the Mage, which is not very intuitive. He's definitely the hardest target to stay on, but at the same time, with the Druid and the Mage on the same team, if I'm not on at least one of the CCers, then I'm not going to be doing a whole lot. So we're training the Mage, not because he's a great target, but because he's a big threat, I suppose. And I'm just trying to, once again, make sure that there's not 2 DPS unloading at the same time, and I'm also doing my best to stay out of CC and pressure as much as possible. But we actually had a lot of trouble with Wizard Cleaves at the beginning of the season. Not necessarily with Mage versions, but with Elemental Destro versions, because we couldn't dispel Immolate or Flame Shock. We were completely at their mercy, and basically the game relied on us getting a kill before their team got a double crit, because it was generally an instant give, nothing we could do about it, and with no dispel we had 0 control over whether or not it happened, really. No matter how pro you are, you can't stop Flame Shock and Immolate from hitting somebody at some point in the game, so without something to clean it off, it becomes really difficult. This, if you were watching my health bar there, that just sort of shows the hilarity of pre-nerf Elemental. I took, I think, like 24,000 damage in one global. Alright, RLS is the one comp where I can probably say that we do have a go-to strat. And against the very good RLS teams, that is just to train the lock as hard as possible. Because the top 5 or 6 RLS on our battle group just sit on me and try to pressure me so hard that I can't do anything with the Warlock. And the only way to beat that is for Affix and Velsus to both concentrate on peeling the Rogue off me, which frees me up to get on the Warlock and to pressure him, keep him from spam feeding, and then hope that I get a kill before I eventually get worn down. This is a little different fight. This is Destro Lock, and the strategy I just provided was mostly for post-patch UA, but this is a pre-nerf Destro Lock RLS. And so this one I'm just swapping between the Lock and the Rogue, once again making sure that there's not 2 DPS unloading. And if you notice, when I see the Rogue running towards me, I'm going to preemptively D-up. Especially against the Destro Lock, because I do not enjoy getting gibbed. So right here, I had an opportunity to intervene back to Velsus and kill the pet. One thing that I do that I haven't seen any other warrior do is I glyph Mocking Blow exclusively for killing pets. And what I'll do is I'll proc and overpower off Taste for Blood, and then I'll tab to a pet, and I will Mortal Strike overpower Mocking Blow. And with crits, that by itself is a good 15k damage. So I can solo give pets pretty frequently a lot of times, especially if I get a good white hit in there as well. So this is a good demonstration of